So, I don't know if this is true for everybody, but it seems in my life that I go through times of relative calm, or at least heading in the direction of fulfilling a goal, or I'm in a building stage, whether I'm building my family or building my career, and then all of a sudden I wind up in crisis. A family member develops a condition, or something happens at work and I have to reevaluate where I'm going. Like maybe something's going on with the company and they're looking to downsize or change. Or sometimes I just find that I need extra money, or I need to take on new skills in my career, and that's fine. But sometimes several changes happen at once, and then I find myself in crisis. And that's when you have to stop and evaluate how did my life get to this? What decisions did I make? What missteps did I make along the way that I consider myself to be in crisis? Sometimes you just know. I mean, somebody comes up to you and says, I have to tell you this. And then they kind of dump something very unexpectedly on you, and then you need to deal with it. Other times it's just sort of a whole bunch of things that all by themselves you could handle it, but then there's just too many of it. It just seems like you're putting out fires, you're up to your elbows in alligators, however you want to phrase it. So when you're in the crisis, sometimes right as it's happening, it's hard to get a real good sense of why it happened and what to do. But then the dust starts to settle a little bit. That's not the same as to say that things have resolved, because they haven't. But some of the initial chaos, the initial internal having to adjust and adapt to your new reality. But as the dust starts to settle, that's a really good time to sit and think, how did I get here? What missteps did I make along the way, from the time that I found out that this crisis was happening until now, when I can kind of get a clear picture of what happened and where people are at mentally. Sometimes I find that I've given my power away, that in the attempt to try to control the situation, that I became overly accommodating, or I was allowing people to get away with things because I thought, oh, well, they're upset. I don't want to push them farther. And we find that our boundaries are being more and more violated as time goes on. But there comes a time that you have to say, okay, this is my reality. This crisis might not last forever, but it's definitely going to be for the long term. And do I want to live like this forever? Do I always want to feel afraid and anxious and insecure? Or do I want to take control of my life at this point? And how am I going to do this? One of the ways, something that has worked for me consistently, and I've read this, but I was doing this on my own before I even read it, was to find somebody who has been through a similar crisis as you, has gotten out on the other side successfully, and just ask them, how did you turn the situation around? I'm in a situation. Or if they're somebody that's real but you don't have access to them, maybe a celebrity or an inspirational story you read, try to find out more about that person. See if they've written other articles, or have been interviewed other places, and find out what they did and see how much of that can be adapted to you. And take back your power. Other people don't own you. They might be in a crisis and they might need you to be a little more kind and gentle, but that doesn't mean that they can walk all over you. That doesn't mean that they can take advantage of you and violate your boundaries. And as before, I really don't know how to end this, so I'm just gonna fizzle out.